Un bar aux Les Folies-Berere. A bar at the Folies-Berere. Now, this is a painting by Edouard Manet, and I've been asked to speak about it, so let's do so. Now, firstly, anytime there's a conversation about this painting, or at least I mention the painter's name, quite a bit of people new to art are confused by the A. Well, it is Manet, it is correct, but it is not Manet, okay, which is the problem for people. So Manet is basically the oldest of the Impressionist group, and he would die in 1883 at the age of 51. And his work is clearly different from that of the others, even though he's part of the group. But they all had their style, unique style, whether it was similar or not. And Manet is what a lot of people know, and whom a lot of people know, let's be clear, and just assume that it's a spelling error. Well, it's incorrect, okay? So this is it. We're not talking about him today at all, okay? And to be clear, the initial group of Impressionist painters were Manet, Degas, Renoir, Cezanne, and Basile. Those first six gents were those who launched a whole new school of art known as Impressionism, which, by the way, was not their choice of name for the movement. It was actually somewhat an insult. That's for another time. So let's talk about the lovely painting by Edouard Manet, a bar at the Folies-Berere. Now, it's quite lovely, you can see, but let's talk about what is the Folies-Berere. Okay, let's discuss that. Well, it happens to be an iconic music or dance hall that was in the ninth, that is still in the 9th arrondissement, which is a section of the city of Paris, and it's been there since 1869. Now, initially, when constructed, it's a bit of a hodgepodge of architectural styles, and so you can tell that it's right around, the cusp of arts and crafts era. Now, I don't think that this is. I think it's obviously clear that they did not know what style to sort of develop it in. So it does have a mixture of things, and particularly this silly globe, if you will, on top of the building, which is very, very arts and crafts like. Later, it would just be whitewashed, and it'd be still rather plain, and the windows are boarded up, and it doesn't look too appealing on the outside. And this would be in 1913. So it would remain so because the next year would be the arrival of the Great War, and so it would take a while for any further renovations would occur, but they would indeed, and splendidly so, in 1929. So that's pretty impressive, and I like the change. Now, the reason for the change was a grand art movement called Art Deco, and they decided to get rid of those awful boarded up windows and replace them with these particular sort of concrete tiles, if you will, and stone tiles, and it looks really, really nice. The lines are streamlined, following Art Deco to the letter. Only 2 tones of color, if you might notice, and a relief in the center. It's very well arranged, and these arching windows, lovely, very nice. And of course, as I said, the relief in the center. Well done. Okay. Later, now this would be about a century later, would be in the early 1990s, you would discover that the tiles on the facade are now gone, plastered over actually, and then they've introduced green, which is very odd. And so all of it, the definition to say, and the relief in the center are all painted green. It's a bit drab, okay? And later they would go away from the green to get more muted tones, more natural tones, okay? But it's still a bit bland, and they still have the plaster over the tiles, and it's a bit bland. But in the 21st century, boom, fantastic style, back to when it was basically the firstly done as Art Deco in about 29. That was really quite good, but this time with a bold gold, gotta like it, and just two shades, the white and the gold, quite lovely, works well. So let's get back to the painting now, because now they match. They're both lovely, the exterior of the building and this painting, a bar at the Folies-Berere. Now, the thing about this painting is it can be summed up in one word, and that one word is perspective. Now, a lot of people would look at this and think, oh, okay, she's sad, but I'm not convinced by that. In fact, I'll elaborate in a moment here. But let's take a look at what we see before us, because it's all about, again, perspective. And I have to say, Manet has been rather cheeky with this painting, you'll see. So firstly, all that you see behind her, the crowd, the trapeze artist, the chandelier, the further people, right? These things are all behind, and the floor, these are all behind her, because behind her is a mirror. So everything behind her is actually before her. Now, a lot of people assume that this it's amazing to hear people suggest this, that's the counter, and so that's the bar actually that's in front of her. Well, it cannot be, okay? But let's put this here. So a lot of people contend that, well, this woman's elbows are resting on the bar, okay? And I would suggest to you that a lot of people, you can see these are also resting. His gent's hands are, but he's further back, so we can see this woman as well. She's further back. It just looks like it because it's the positioning of that. I'm going to say is a chair rail, not the bar. And also to support the chair rail contention is that there is a curved molding attached to the bar, which, as you can see, it's not in her. It's her hand on that same bar. There is no. It's straight. There's no curve. And by the way, if that was the bar, then it's a really wide bar, because this woman is miles away from the barmaid. So again, straight away you can tell that Manet is playing games. And then of course there is the actual reflection of the bar, and oddly it ends shortly, so you can see that he's playing with perspective. He's actually sort of hinting that what we see here goes from left to right, following the angle of that counter's end. Then we can see further things, that this chair rail is also at an odd angle. It goes from left to right, but downwardly. So we'll see what that's about. And if it were the counter, it would have a proper bit of perspective as such. So we have to rule that out. And also, let's take a look at this cheeky bit, okay? So the champagne bottles are standing by themselves, yet in reflection, this particular bottle is blocking their view in the mirror. Well, that bottle's nowhere. If it's anywhere, it's right to the side. So that's a bit cheeky. Then, of course, there's the other bottle of rosé, let's say. Well, all right, fine. But it's to the left. It's far away from this. It would not be behind as it is seen in the mirror's reflection. So again, Manet is having a bit of a chuckle. And then it comes to the barmaid herself. Now, I suggest to you, she's not sad. She's just not a part of the party that's taking place in the dance hall. In fact, here she is, and this is the back of her. So her reflection in the mirror is what we see. And to sort of support that, remember the angle. Ooh. So that's what we have. And what we have is a dutiful woman taking this man's order, listening to this man's order at the bar. Clearly, that's it. And so the cheeky bit that Manet is trying to suggest is that when we look into this woman's face, we are the man. The perspective of this entire painting is the man's view, the customer's view. That's it. And also, by the way, let's go back and take a look at this particular glasswork. I'll do another little video on Manet's glasswork. It's just amazing. But nevertheless, bye for now, and we'll chat later. Thanks for watching.